This is just a quick video on the subject of glue and adhesives, because I've pretty much come to the conclusion that this stuff right here is definitely amazing, as they have proclaimed on the front of the label. I don't know if you've ever used Goop, but if you're into prototyping or building things that need to be thrown together fast just to see if something's going to work or a quick repair, not only is this stuff strong and sticks to anything better than all of these are just, even Weld is on this list of glues I'm not too impressed with. I mean, maybe there's some applications where Weld is good for, but for the most part, it does not provide a very good adhesion. It has very, very strong cohesion properties, but cohesion isn't no good if you don't have adhesion. So, just a quick side note, I kind of beat Weld up a little bit there, and I got to looking around, and I did find something that I did get some good use of from Weld, and this is an old turbine setup that I was working on a while back with a superheater for the steam, and it's basically just an air motor for a grinder that I was going to do some work on. I'm going to eventually finish this thing. But anyway, these metal pieces are exposed to a lot of oil. And anyone who's ever worked with the glues and epoxies knows that oil can pretty much ruin about anything. I don't even think Goop holds up to oil well. I'd have to test that out actually. But this here, I've ran the heck out of this thing on just air, and it stands up to 500 Celsius is what the container claims. So Goop, or not Goop, but Weld does work very well with metals. If you're going to use it on plastic or something, I don't recommend it at all. I haven't had any success whatsoever. It peels right off plastic. So I had to go ahead and film another little clip of footage on behalf of Weld, because I did remember that the main benefactor was plastic. You can't use it on plastic, basically. Metals, not so bad. So eventually you're going to see this thing roaring like a lion one of these days. When it comes to adhesion, this is definitely the best glue I've ever used. As far as the cohesion goes, it's not the strongest or the hardest, but these types of epoxies like this have absolutely no adhesion power whatsoever, in my opinion. Very, very little. Mostly all cohesion. Cohesion just means it bonds to itself rather than something else. Adhesion is the property of a substance to cling to something else other than itself. So, one of the most corrosive environments that I've ever subjected this stuff to has definitely got to be an electrolysis system on a hydrogen torch. I had a small hairline crack on the front of this cell that I've used to seal this off. It wasn't a hairline crack, it was just a small like hairline leak down the side of this front gasket. There's just not enough pressure in this area because it's a big flat gasket. So after you let it sit for a couple of days, it would leak a little drop or two, just enough to ground out this hole. And that's just not good for optimal performance. So another thing I've done is repaired a hole in the front of the radiator down here that you can see in another video called Stress Corrosion Cracking. And on these side ports up here at the top, you can see I've used it as a good sealant for stuff like that. And it stands up to extremely caustic solutions of sodium hydroxide. So if it can handle that, it can handle almost anything. Excuse me. Same thing with these down here. These are also, rather than using Teflon tape is not good in this situation because you could not get these tightened properly. They needed to be glued. And that glue will last for a couple of years. I've had cells sit for years with this glue on it. And one of the cool things about Goop is it's removable. If you get a grip on it with pliers, a little nib of it, and begin to rotate it like this, it will come off. I know that may not have seemed Well, that's gone. Like it was very strong, but that is a pretty strong adhesion. And if it can stand up to brutal environments like hot, caustic solutions, it's definitely winning me over on my book. I have another piece of equipment here. You can see here, this is an epoxy that I used. That's this junk here. This is just like some kind of super glue epoxy. I thought it was going to save my day, and it did not. It's just very hard plastic-like stuff, and it doesn't, as you can see, it didn't really do. I put a coating of Goop over this actually because it just doesn't stick to the PVC at all. This thing was a lost cause once that first leak started inside of there. The way I soldered this terminal together eventually melted this, is why it leaked on me. I put it inside of the fitting and then soldered it like an idiot rather than trying to avoid that somehow. Anyway, they've got several different types of this stuff. If you're not from America, I don't know if they have this. I'm trying to find the chemical name of the glue. Because like if you're in Australia, I doubt, or Canada. Well, Canada probably has this stuff, but apparently so does Mexico, because that's what I'm reading here. Yeah, it's not telling me anything as far as what type of glue. You'd have to look it up on the internet to find that out, but if you're looking for a good glue, that's definitely the way to go, is Goop. You've got to try the stuff.